Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Talking Bad. I am your host, Nevada McNeil, and today I am here with Elle Saccacio. Thanks for being here.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So she is actually an alumni. So welcome back, I guess.
Thank you.
Today she is here to talk to us about just her career and her job and everything that led up to it. So first, I won't give it away. Just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, I do game presentation and entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, anything you see on a court, on a field that's not the actual, game, we are coming up with that content, whether that be an on-court contest, on-field presentation with a sponsor, anything on the video boards. My team will come up with that, and then we will oversee it during the games and then stage manage as well. And I think the best part of the job, too, is the contestants you pick for these on-court contests. They're so excited about it.
They're so excited.
I
It makes you
remember
happy.
I picked a contestant who was from Australia, flew in from Australia with her, with his mom, and I found them, and they're coming out of the bathroom on the concourse, and I was like, would you guys want to be, a contestant for a game? And the mom ended up bawling her eyes, and I was like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And she's like, we flew from Australia. It's, our first game we've ever been to a basketball game. We saved up all our money to come, and this is like our experience together, and we were just happy to be in the nosebleeds, but to be on the court and to get to do something. It's really,
you're making someone else's day.
That's the best part about the job, is you are creating
super
these
magical
memories that, could last a day that they talk about, a year, a lifetime.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
For me, when I was younger, that was something that I truly loved about going to sporting events, is the memories you make.
The memories you
with
make.
your friends and your family.
So I want you to talk to me about, obviously you work for the Lakers, and there's a lot of big names in that industry, whether it's just the players, the people who come in for the anthem, the halftime shows. I want you to talk to me about that and how that's like, it's got to be nerve-wracking with these big names, but also what opportunities has that brought to you, and how does that make your job exciting? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, even here talking to you guys, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
Right? I have so much anxiety, but it's once you get comfortable with people, you just realize they're people, right? Like, I do this all the time where I get nervous, right? And then once I start talking and I realize they're nice and they're normal, it's just an everyday thing, right? Like, I'm having a conversation with you. Let's say we have an anthem performer, right? And they were from The Voice or something, right? Yeah, they're a bigger name, right? And you want to create a hospitable environment. You want to, have that first-class experience, but they're also just people.
They're just people at the end of the day.
Just having a conversation, making sure they're comfortable. It does make you gain more confidence. I think you do have to just kind of, be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
With people. Like, I remember my first interaction with, a player, and I had cameras like this, but I had mics over my head. I had my boss on the other side of me, and it was my first project. He's like, okay, go ask questions. And it was so intimidating, and you take a breath and you go, you know what? They're just people. They're just people. They're just cameras. Yeah. It's okay. But you gain your confidence. I think now I'm not as afraid to kind of, go and talk to these people as before. I used to kind of be a little bit more intimidated and be like, okay, like, should I go now? Should I do this? Like, you kind of just, again, the confidence you gain over time when you talk to these people. And like I said, they're just normal people. Yeah. They'll joke with you. I have players that, tap on my shoulder, or they'll just joke around. Yeah. It's not as intimidating once, again, you get comfortable.
Awesome. Yeah. I love that. So obviously your job is very much behind the scenes. It doesn't just focus on just the players playing the game. Yeah. So how do you balance before the game, during the game, preseason, postseason, all that stuff? Obviously there's so many factors. I want you to kind of walk us through what that process looks like and how different each section is.
Yeah. So with any preseason, we're always, even when we're in our season before, you're always already prepping for the next season. So the second that, that season's done, you're going straight into prep. So we will meet for a month or two, and we'll do 3-hour meetings and kind of come up with new ideas and content, whether it be questions we ask the players on a media day, working with our corporate partnerships department to figure out what content we need from them, whether it be, an on-court contest that we work with them for, or if we do video board content with them. So we work with them for that. It's about 3-hour meetings that you're coming up with creatively, just bouncing ideas back and forth. This year with my job, we had everything finalized probably the week before, just because you find things that you like better, or, when you're in, let's say, a green screen room, right? What flows well, what is going to, get the players intrigued and excited, and what's going to work for the fans that keeps them engaged when there is a timeout, or, it's halftime. What can we produce that keeps fans engaged and excited?
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I want to back up a little bit. Where did you go to college?
Yeah.
And then did you have any jobs there?
Yeah.
And just kind of bring me into there.
Yes. Okay, so my I'll talk high school, college experience. So I went here for a little bit, and then I was super into sports. I've always knew I wanted to work in sports. It was just a matter of what. And then when I went to college, I did rowing in college. So I was really kind of prioritizing my athletic career at the time, and I didn't really know what exactly I wanted to do. And I remember someone telling me that how important it is, that experience is huge.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to go, try and find a job. And it was hard to figure out exactly what I wanted to do until I got to a point where I really did the research myself. So what did I find that I liked? What was intriguing about sports, right? I want to work in sports, but what? I looked at different departments. I looked at, social media. Is that my thing? No. Community relations, community. Like, there's just some ticketing, right? So I just didn't really figure it out until I transferred schools. I went to the University of Utah, and I studied business there. So I was a marketing and management major. And I remember I was kind of just looking for opportunity and places I can get internship hours. And I remember I found a job with the University of Utah's baseball team as a student manager. And I remember being like, I don't know if I'm qualified for this, but I'm just going to go to the interview. And, you never know. And I got the job, which was not expecting to get the job, and I was the only girl they've ever had as a student manager, which it's intimidating, but go girls in sports, because you just gotta put yourself out there. And I did things from field maintenance to team laundry, but then I did operations, I did recruiting, I did tours for recruits, I did the photo shoots, I helped with socials sometimes, I helped with our SID, who kind of does all of the player bios online and stats as well. So I was kind of doing a little bit of everything. And then I knew I needed to get more internship hours. A lot of times when you go to a university, their schools, business school will ask you, okay, give me some internship hours. So I was looking and found this job with Real Salt Lake and the Utah Royals, which is the 2 pro soccer teams in Utah. And I saw game entertainment. I went, this is kind of interesting and different. And okay, this is stuff that, like, I remember when I was younger, that these are things that I was excited about. Because when you're younger and you don't really know sports, like, what is attracting you at a game, right? It's a contest or something on the video board, right? So I was like, wait, this is kind of interesting. So I remember doing that. And then I had my first day there, and it was the coolest job. And I went, I just knew. I was like, this is the job I want. This is something that I find exciting. And since then, I've never once been like, I don't want to go to work. I don't like my job.
I love that.
Which is fun. Like, you need that, and did that, and then went on to do their women's team, the Utah Royals. So I was originally just with their men's team, and then went to their women's team and was doing game day stuff. I was also, we call it show calling. So they have a second team. So I was show calling for them for a tournament. So you're working with the camera crews. You're calling throughout that script I was telling you about. You're creating the PA script. You're coming up with the games. So that was kind of my first experience getting to show call, which with my job is really important. And I thought I could find it really cool. So did that. And then at the time I was working all of those at the same time. And
Gotcha,
also working
wow.
at a sushi restaurant. So,
Wow.
I'm a college student. I got to make money, but also I need my experience. And
Yeah.
sometimes these internships, it's just experience-based.
Right.
You don't really get paid, but
Yeah.
again, I cannot emphasize it enough. Experience.
And I guarantee all of those have helped you to be where you're at right now.
Yes.
You've gained so much
Absolutely.
experience, and now you use it in your everyday job.
And when I applied for my job now with, the Lakers, and I'm their intern for the season.
Yeah.
Which I like to emphasize too, that you could be, post-grad, you could be in school, an internship is experience, and it does get your foot in the door, and I've learned so much from my job. So, so there I've been an intern. So I remember applying for that job, going through the interview rounds, and what made me stand out is having multiple teams, right? And having multiple jobs and having different experiences. That's what makes you unique, right?
Yeah.
Like, how can you stand out in an interview compared to others is really important. And being confident in yourself and, figuring out things that, maybe another interviewer won't have, or what about the team do you know, right?
Yeah.
It's really important to understand the team you're working for, because at the end of the day, like, you are representing them. You don't need to know everything, right? But that's a big question. Every job I've had in sports is, what do you like about our team? What makes you drawn to us?
Yeah.
Right? Because they want to know that you're invested in them as well.
Yeah.
And I did that and got my job here, and I love it. I cannot emphasize enough how much experience I've gotten and the opportunities I've gotten with them and the confidence I've built. And it's just really important to always be learning. I always learn. Everything I do, I try to learn, even if it's something, the littlest thing, right? I try to find a way to take something from that and learn from it. And I just find that to be really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So what would be your biggest advice for people about to graduate college, or even in college, when they're working a job that's maybe more stressful like yours, or even applying for jobs? I know you kind of just briefly mentioned, but like connections, or where to find your jobs, or resumes, interviews. Like, what's your biggest advice in that realm?
Yes. Connections. LinkedIn is your best friend. My first job with Real Salt Lake, I remember I messaged my former boss and was just asking her for 5 minutes just for, some advice, and explained kind of the role and what she liked about it. And then the job popped up and I applied, and that's how I got my job. Gotcha. She already, of course, experience, right? And you have to interview well, but she already saw a name to a face, and she knew that I was interested, and it makes you stand out. Right. So I always do that. I always emphasize trying to learn from people who've been successful in the industry. So LinkedIn, I would say teamwork online is a great one for sports, if that's what you want to do. Also, the team's website, they also have stuff that you can find as well from there. They usually have a job site page. And then, I'd say that for jobs. I think for resume, keep it to 6 to 8 bullet points for each thing, right? Because once you're in the interview and they ask you questions, you can go into depth more on what you've learned and what you've done. Keep your font 12. It's add a picture, have your skills at the bottom, and then with a cover letter, make sure you change it. Always have a different one. Places can realize it when you send in the same one. And the cover letter is where you can really go into depth on what you've done, right? Yeah. I also have a portfolio, so I will print out all the work I've done, and I will hand that to them when I'm done with my interview. So then they have something to remember me by. And again, that makes you stand out, right? Yeah. I can tell you what I've done, but here's a physical thing I've done.
Yeah. Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah. That was perfect. Okay. Thank you so much for being here and coming back. I know you're long graduated. You want to be back.
You guys make me feel old. I'm going to be 25, but I feel like I'm like 40. I remember when I walked up here, I saw some of the kids. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so young. Yeah. But it's just fun to see. And you guys are, at a point in your stage in your life where you're figuring it out, but everyone's still figuring it out. Yeah. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still looking for jobs. Yeah. Everyone does. But, that's life. And just be confident in yourself, and you can accomplish more than you think you can.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks
for
having
everybody, thank you so much for watching. I bet you enjoyed this episode, and we will be back next time. Bye. Thank you.